shell shock, a realm in disrepair, and more. We break that down and more on the post credits of the last episode of season of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. What's good? What's happening, everybody? It's your boy Ferris Mutan. Welcome to the post credits. We are doing our last post credits of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms season 1. We are talking about the aftermath and the ramifications of last week's episode. Like I said, a realm in disrepair, a realm in mourning, sadness. It was a very short episode, but it was a nice wrap-up episode. But without further ado, I'm with my main men. How you doing, Justin?
What's up? What's up? What's up?
And my other main man, Brent, Matt. How you doing?
Yo, doing well, thank you.
All right, well, let's get right into it, guys. I want to get everybody's overall thoughts on the episode. Let's start with you, Matt. What did you think of this episode? Yay, nay, indifferent?
Definitely a nay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Break it down for me. Why? Too short?
I mean, the first scene right away struck me as odd because when that who was it, the prince or whatever that died in the last episode?
Baylor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had farm hands taking the helmet off him, but then we open with fucking Duncan checked out by a maester. Like, what? Why wasn't there a maester helping? Not that it would have helped, but you know what I mean? It makes more sense that guy would have been checked out by someone medical than farm hands and shit like that. So right off, I was thrown off from the episode, but this episode just exemplifies just how cheap this show is. Everything we saw in this episode was so nothing. Not story wise, just the how they shot stuff and stuff. It's man, they spent no money on this show. So ridiculous.
All right, Justin, what about you?
Yeah. I mean, I disagree with the thing he just brought up because, you got to remember that was right after the fight. He comes in to check on Dunk because, as Baylor, he doesn't know. So the people that were there were the ones that were there. He didn't have a maester there. He actually says to Dunk, I'll have a maester come check on you when he gets done checking on whatever. So
Yeah.
there's that. There's a difference there. Dunk's obviously it's the next day, leaning up against a tree getting checked out. So it's not like it will happen back to back. So that part right there. But I kind of disagree. Now this show didn't have money like most of these other episodes. I looked it up last week, right, while we were doing the review, and they had between 37 and $60 million total. And even if you say, well, these were shorter episodes, it was still a long movie, and most movies are made for way more money than that. And most seasons, say House of the Dragon and stuff like that we've seen here recently, were done for 350 million. So for the money that they had, I thought they've done a very great way. And sometimes you're going to have to start doing this thing where they don't spend as much money. That's one of the big complaints I have with Hollywood right now is they spend way too much money for some of the stuff they do, and then they don't make their money back, and it becomes a failure because of it. And this, I don't think they did that. I think the stuff that we saw was really well done. I thought the armor throughout the thing, a couple of the sets that they did have, I thought was really nice. And the scenery, especially in this episode, when they're riding away at the very end.
But that's the thing is everything's a scenery shot. When we get to interior shots, was that supposed to be what's his name's bedroom?
No.
Look how pathetically small that thing was.
It's because Ashland is a very poor place. The whole
Ashford, I think Ashford is it's
crap.
It's crap.
Supposed to be crap. That's not supposed to be that's not the Targaryens' castle or anything. That's a little small castle. The Targaryens never would have went here for this tournament, but because of the time, because the Targaryens are
Baylor wanted to do a diplomatic mission to show them that we're not all crazy and we don't all want to kill everybody.
The common folk are starting to lose their interest in the Targaryens. They don't.
But that guy was staying in the castle, right? Though that his room in that they showed him in.
Right, but not all castles are made equal. It's
I understand. Yeah. I understand, but then it's also we see nothing of that, and then everything is such a claustrophobic tight shot in there that you could just tell that room was no bigger than 20 feet by 20 feet or something.
Yeah, so I understand some of the stuff you're saying, Matt, but here goes the thing, right? That's why I looked it up last week, because you brought up a little bit of these concerns then. And when I looked it up and realized, oh, they actually didn't spend as much money as most of the things we're seeing in TV shows and stuff. Like, so I'm forgiven of that. If I would have looked it up and it would have been like 300 million or something like that,
But
or even
but
200
those shows
million.
were shooting on location across multiple parts of the world. Like I can understand why the budget got big for those, and they had tons of effects and battle. Like this show had nothing in it, and all we're shown is like hilly mountains and shit like that. And even like when they showed that scene, where after he leaves talking to the, or no, before he gets sent to go talk to that guy in that castle, it's like 20 tents outside. Like what even was that? It was just like, and that was like the widest shot we ever got in the whole episode, and one of the widest shots we got in the show.
So you're
Yeah,
saying
I mean,
the scope wasn't big enough for you?
Not even that. You could just tell that they spent no money making this, and they shot it in a way to like not not expose that so much. But like, nah, this was ridiculous. And then we also got another flashback for what? So we could learn the history of the penny tree name, and then like tie it to him, fucking putting a penny on the tree at the end. You know what I mean?
yeah, but I thought that was super
That was
cool.
pretty
I mean,
cool.
maybe you didn't think it
I
was
don't.
cool,
Yeah,
but I thought it
I
was
don't
super
fully
But
cool.
agree.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying is, do we need to see that in the last episode? That couldn't have been a flashback earlier on, and then they just trust us remembering it, and then when
Well,
they tie it in at the end, no, they had to do it in the last episode because they didn't trust the fans or whatever to be like, oh, remember when he told them the story of that's how they got their name, and now he's going on his own journey,
well,
so he's doing the same thing.
a little bit of a pushback with that would be they do the one thing I do like about this show is they set up different things, right? It wasn't something out of the blue. Like there was a goofy moment even in this episode.
That's
It
what it was
does,
for. But that's what I'm
but,
saying. We got a
but no, no,
flashback for a gag moment,
right,
like.
right. But that doesn't hurt me because they set it up the whole season. They did this throughout the season. It wasn't like they just
But
did
I
this at the very
understand,
end of the
but
season.
you're saying like that's a standard or something they're trying to keep. But this is the last episode that's only 28 minutes from the beginning,
Yeah, but
and
if
we
we
spent
went by your rules, Matt, of like always having the flashbacks be somewhere earlier, all we would have had was flashbacks at two
no,
episodes.
no, we would not, Justin. That's not what I was ever saying.
Every flashback we've had, you said we should have had it earlier.
Because it's telling stuff that would have benefited the story before, like not catching up on it at the end when we're trying to like resolve what we've been seeing.
Well, it's not the flashback from last episode. I would have to disagree because the point was that you can say it was contrived or whatever. That'll be your own like point of view. But it's like the whole get up part makes sense to have that. If you would have had that and he tells him to get up an episode beforehand, before the fight even starts, then like that would be out of sequence and not cool. And this whole the penny tree thing, and then at the very end of the episode, he does the honor of putting the penny in the tree because we see that flashback. If it would have been done one or two episodes before, well, if it would have been done last episode, it would have been the flashback we would have got in the middle of the battle. And then if it would
No,
have been done
that
two
doesn't mean
episodes
that.
ago,
That doesn't mean that.
Fight,
no, I'm
fight,
saying, but
fight,
even if we
fight,
would have got
fight,
two
fight,
episodes, yeah,
fight,
but
fight,
even if we would have got
fight,
that two
fight.
episodes ago, the whole penny thing may or may not have made as much sense or
Can
whatever.
I can
But
I
that's
can
what I'm
I
saying. That's
can
what
I
I'm
bring
saying.
my
See,
2 cents in?
go ahead.
Can
Go
I say
ahead.
if I like the
Yeah.
episode or not
Yeah.
before when you guys stab each other in the face respectfully? I love this, by the way. This is amazing. Continue doing this. I just want to point out I like the episode. I think because the source material is only 200 pages. I think they made it small. I don't know if it was purposefully, but they made it small. It's a small story. It's about common folk, about the small folk. So I think they kind of showed you like the smaller aspects of it, like Ashford Meadows. It sounds beautiful, but it's small. And then the castle, probably like you said, Matt, is a small castle. Probably their rooms are small, and they're just not like a family that like they're just a family that's there. And some people know them, but they don't really know them. But I kind of like the episode. They kept this small. They kept this very tight. Because, also, too, what's the timeline, right? So, like, the battle happens. How far are we from the funeral? Are we 3 days? Are we a week? What's, like, the problem is, what always confused me was, like, I don't know the timeline. Like, how far from this to that? Where are we going? So, I kind of was a little confused on that, but that's perfectly fine. But I really like the episode. Back to you two guys. Matt?
Not, I mean, hey, some people like certain things or whatever, and that's the great thing is about watching movies and shows. There's a lot of movies and shows that me and Matt agree completely 100% on. This one right here, we not agreeing 100% on. I actually like the flashbacks when they're done and stuff because I like the part of the story that it's telling. Like, and like I said, if they would have did like a little goofy little thing, like when Arlen, like, almost like the whole fake death thing, but he like wakes back up and says another line afterwards, um, is fine with me because we got those moments as we did the show. It wasn't like, oh, it came out of nowhere. So it was like set up with all these like moments we got in all the other episodes, even in like the whole like scene leading up to the battle where the dude stands up slowly and he like passes gas and like everybody's laughing and sits down. So I think that fits the mold of what the show did. Now you can criticize that and be like, hey, I don't like those moments. I wish none of those moments were in there. But
And that's not
because
what I
they,
said. That's not what I said.
I'm not saying you said that. I'm saying as a viewer, that's what you can think.
What did you say, Matt?
My whole thing is, look, that last flashback episode they did, that was 19 minutes uncut flashback, okay? Now that right there was just egregious. Like, we don't need that in the second to last episode. This one was 2 minutes. They could have easily put that anywhere in other episodes and it wouldn't have affected story like how you're saying. But it would have required the audience or whatever to recall that from an earlier episode. And these writers don't trust the people to do that. That's why they inserted it in this episode.
No, I don't. I don't think that there's a moment that they have in the scene that I thought that the flashback uh, really was cool the way it was done, because like it's in that moment when he sits down and he talks with Egg and stuff like that, and then Egg gets up and walks away, and you can see him in his face. The actors are doing it super awesome in the show, by the way, but like you can see it in his face that he's like contemplating, right? He's like thinking about like that moment that we get to see.
Well, speaking of the moments, let's really dive into that. What are some of your biggest, WTF moments or moments that you really enjoyed, Justin?
Uh, in this particular episode, I wouldn't say there's like the WTF, what the hell moment or
Mhm.
whatever, because like it's the culmination of like, okay,
Moment of
so this right
intrigue
here happened.
you
Yeah,
like?
so like Prince Baylor dying is a big thing for the lore, the big thing for the story that surrounds it, and all that other stuff that's going on. Like who's going to be next in line for the king, the ship, and all that stuff. But you get that thing to where it just doesn't end on the big thing. We get this episode that kind of wraps up all the loose ends and tells us like, okay, so this is where the story will be progressing from here. At from this moment, right? So we get like, oh, Aaron might be sent off because like he was an asshole. So his dad's even basically saying we're going to send him to the free cities or whatever, and maybe that'll make a better man of him if he spends a little time there. We get that. We get the, what will the Baratheon do from here? I actually know something because this show actually intrigued me, so I went and got the novella. So I like know something about possibly down the road what's going to happen with like Baratheon, the Lionel
Yep.
Baratheon
Yeah.
character. It may or may not happen next season, but it does come up eventually, and that's going to be a really interesting thing. So like even in these moments, like the line of uh, "If you come with me, I'm going to love you like a brother, and if you say no, I'm going to hate you like a brother." Might be something leading there, from that point on, and that kind of stuff right there. I thought was like really fulfilling for the show. I didn't go into this show thinking it was going to be like blockbuster or whatever, because it is based on a novella that's like really small. If you actually take the time and because it's really short, like even if you do Audible, it's like not it's around 2 hours for the complete read. But like, um, nah, man, they added decent stuff to this to make it the length that they did, and none of the stuff that they added took away from anything to me. They actually added like I know some people wanted the fight to be more grand scale, but that's what we got. Actually, they actually made that fight scene, even though it didn't seem like it as long comparatively from like say the flashback or whatever. That fight scene is longer than it is in the book by a decent amount. Like they made that, they stretched it out as far as they could and stuff like that, and they literally took how they wrote it and put it into the show. And a lot of times you get people wanting to change shit and do things differently, and then they end up screwing up. So I have respect for the people that made this show because they made it really damn close and really faithful to the adaptation.
What about you, Matt? Any moments that you liked?
Nope.
All right. Love it. Thank you, man. Big fan of the straightforwardness. I like the episode the little moment on at the end of the stairs where he asked if he's spying. He lied. Um, and then there's the scene with Baylor's son where he said like why did the gods take him but leave you? And then there's a moment where we finally see that Dunk lied about Dunk's not a knight at all. So we find out what we all suspected, he was a liar. But I'll forgive him. Fine, I'll forgive him. I like that scene as well. And then
What about Egg coming in there with a knife, man?
yeah, I want to talk about that where like the two scenes, the scenes that were back to back. He's just just hanging out, and then he touches his head,
Yep.
and then he feels his hair coming back, and he goes to the mirror and he like touch and he freaks out. He freaks out because he's like, I don't want to be like my brother. I think that's probably I don't want to be the crazy Targaryen, right? Because the famous phrase is every time a Targaryen is born, the gods flip a coin, and whatever side of the coin it falls, that's the Targaryen you're getting. Either crazy or we're gonna get Baelor Targaryen, one or the other. I mean, either you're Maegor the cruel, or Darren the good, or we're gonna get Aegon the fourth, the unworthy, or we're gonna get
Jacaerys from House of the Dragon, man.
yeah,
Great thing.
yeah,
Well, a great
Jacaerys.
actor, a great moment.
Yeah. So you don't know what you're gonna get. It's kind of a mixed bag. It's humanity. So yeah, and then he's ready to kill his brother, and then his dad is just like he sees his father. Of course, his dad's gonna be there looking after his kid, which makes sense. And he realizes like the pain and suffering that this older brother has been doing, because he's not the oldest brother. I got that wrong last week. Darren, the Dragon Seer, is the oldest brother. And then there's Aaron, then Aemon, and then Aegon. So I got that wrong. So, and then Darren telling Dunk, my little brother wasn't always a little monster. And then he says, Aegon is not a monster. How dare you? He's like, that's not who I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking about Aaron Arian, and he tells him, "Was like, see, he basically tells him, I need you to take him, because I can't have what this dude just did happen to another one of them. You need to take him," and that's why he changed his mind. I really like that as well. But
Yeah, but to me, that scene is showing that like if Dunk doesn't take Aegon, he's going to become a totally different person. And if his dad
yes.
wasn't sitting there, he's going to himself become a monster, right? He
Mhm.
doesn't. It's one of those things to where you try so hard not to be that, and then you end up turning into that. And that's what I kind of saw that scene as, because like I think he was actually really going to kill him, and if his dad wasn't there, and his dad's there, and his dad, puts his hands on his shoulders and he kind of relaxes. And this kid's done great, amazing.
Give this kid the. I don't know what category they'd put him in. Probably supporting actor, because I know, but it's Duncan Egg, so it could be lead actor. So I don't know which. It's probably this season is more supporting actor because he's supporting Dunk.
Mm-hmm.
If they put him in the supporting actor role, give it to him. You give it to this kid, because this kid is every scene he's in, every moment he's on screen, he steals it.
But it's the little moments, like when his dad puts his hands on his shoulders. His shoulders are at first still tensed up,
Mm-hmm.
He's in that emotional state. And after like a few seconds of the hands being on the shoulders, you could see like Egg actually like relax. When he drops
Mm-hmm.
the knife, you can see his shoulders kind of slump.
Yeah.
Like he was
Because
all
also
tensed
too,
up. And like,
the outside context of this is their mother's dead. Maekar lost his wife. Because Maekar, the way the royal family operates is certain sons can marry for love, and certain sons have to marry for strategical realm, right? So Baylor, a strategical thing. Maekar being the fourth son, the fourth one, he has no future claim to the throne. No one cares about him. He's the fourth son. He doesn't matter. He married the love of his life, which is of House Dane, Diana Dane. She's gone. So now it's single father, mourning the love of his life, having to raise 4 sons. And, shout out to my mother. She raised 3 of us. She didn't have, she had hell with all 3 of us. But 4 of them, one of them being a psychopath, the other being a dragon seer drunkard. The other one is basically called, he's useless, so I'm making him a maester. And the youngest one, the 4th son, by the way, which is what Maekar is. So Makar sees Aegon and says, you're me, because you were the fourth son, like I am, and I, so he literally says he's my last shot. He's already given up on the other three. He's done. He's like, I'm done with them. Like, what do you want from more? The realm has taken him from me.
Mhm.
This is my last shot. I need him to pan out because he's my pride and joy. He's my egg.
Yeah, he's my
This
last
this
son.
this is
Like he
my
tells
this
Dunk, he's my
yeah
last one. He's my
yeah
last son. Like that's why he doesn't want Duncan to take him like away from like away from the family. Basically,
yeah. That's
he wants him to
but
do
he
that.
wants Duncan to be with him to provide structure.
Hmm.
Yeah, but Duncan knows that your structure is rotten. It's tainted because inherently Targaryens, the way they operate, it's been tainted. It's just the way it is. You have Blackfire rebellion bastards trying to kill you. You have like Aegon the unworthy destroying it. You have Maekar being a psycho. Like it's a tainted structure, but the realm, seeing the world, it's as real as it can get. It's as real as it can get. We're sleeping in inns, we're sleeping under trees, we're in the mud, we're in the dirt. We're gonna go to Dorne, finding out that there's actually 9 kingdoms. I was lied to.
Right.
Shout out to Aegon for knowing that. But of course he knows that he's a little nerd. So seeing all of that was really nice too. And again, it's a small story, 200 pages. We're adapting that. So I think they did a good job overall.
Yeah, I'm interested. I want to see it. I've been waiting for the series to end, especially because it was a shorter one. Because I'm going to
Hmm.
sit down and watch this like it's a movie
Yeah, yeah.
and
But
see
let's
if
move.
that like changes the way I actually overall think about it 100% or not.
Well, let's move on, guys. It was the last episode, so season one's over. They adapted the Hedge Knight. Season two will be the Sworn Sword. But I want to talk about characters. Bring up any character you like. We'll highlight them. Give them some screen time. Matt, any characters of these last 6 episodes that you were really a big fan of?
Just Egg, but to be honest, we didn't get enough of him.
All right, all right. What about you, Justin?
Man, it'd be hard for me to pick because I think pretty much everyone they picked for every role, small or large, like did their role good. There's not one like person that's involved in this whole like show that I thought was like either one. The only one that you could have a slight complaint because like he's the biggest difference from the story in the book and like the show would be the Baratheon, but just because he was
Lionel?
supposed to be Lionel because he was supposed to be bigger. Like he's supposed to be sort of about the same size as like Dunk.
Mm.
But that would be the biggest difference. But even that actor did a very good job. So I was like, all right, cool. Like uh, he seems like the smiling storm over there. Like he's doing his thing. So
The Laughing Storm.
yeah, the laughing storm. So like, but no, I didn't think any of these characters or anybody did a bad job. Period. Dunk and Egg, obviously they're the main ones, the ones you saw the most. But even Baylor, a character you didn't get a huge amount. Like he had screen presence when he was there.
Mm-hmm. Dirty
So,
Cowell.
but yeah, I thought everybody did a great job, and a lot of times you don't see that. And but yeah, I mean, I don't. I consider Dunk and Egg, and for the story that was told, I thought Egg had plenty of enough time in the show, to be honest with you, just because of like the different things that was happening. There's certain times Egg couldn't be there, obviously because of like uh, home dude's in prison, and so Egg can't be there in the prison cell with him the whole time. We still got a scene with them in the prison cell, but uh, those moments and stuff like during the battle, you got Egg on the side like cheering him on and everything else, and so I put both of those. I thought Dunk did very well. Facial expressions, the way he acted, he was a believable character.
I want to give credit out and I want to highlight my dog, Raymond Fossilway,
Yep,
the green apple of
yep,
Cherry Hill. I got it wrong. He's the green apple. His shitty uncle, Stefan, is the red apple of Cherry Hill because I would rather be a green apple that isn't ripe yet than a wormy red apple. So shout out to you, Raymond. He's also a new father. A new father. Shout out to him and Rowan. That's what I'm saying.
He ain't
Like,
no new father.
yeah, no, she liked
Listen,
it.
bro.
She
Listen,
liked it.
that made me
Yeah,
laugh.
yeah, she
That
liked
made
it.
me laugh because that woman came out of nowhere and took advantage of my boy Raymond because he ain't got a lot of like a love experiences. I don't think he
I don't think
knows
he has
how
a lot
like
of. I don't think
pregnancy
he has a lot
works
of
or whatever.
sense. I think he has a lot of
Yeah,
sense.
I don't think he knows how pregnancy works. I think she came in at the right time, at the right moment. You know what I'm saying? And the funny part about that is like he's the green apple, but like this lady he's kind of like falling in love with over here is like got the red hair.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah. So shout out to Raymond Fossaway. You're my dog, bro. You're my dog forever. Cause bro, imagine, bro. He just met this dude, right? He just met this dude, literally like a week ago. He's like, "Yo, man, you seem like a cool dude. You want to grab some brews? I'll feed you some food." And then a couple days later, he's fighting to the death for this dude. You know what I mean? A true homie, Raymond Fossaway, a true homie. And not even that, he whooped his uncle's ass. Whooped his ass. So shout out to him.
There,
Shout out to Raymond.
after like kind of thinking about the last episode and the fight episode, and I kind of did mention this during that review, was that it was a weird dynamic. Like a lot of people wanted to see like this whole battle or more of the whole battle, right, pan out so that you can see more of the people fighting and everything. But as I thought about it, and I even heard, I can't remember who, but someone kind of mentioned it, and it made perfectly sense when you think about it. So if you put all the people that was in that fight against each other, nobody except for maybe Dunker and Arian, whatever, the Bright Flame, like none of them really wanted to kill each other. They were there because of like either honor or being
Mhm.
forced to, like the King's Guard and stuff like that, kind of had
Yeah.
to because they were
Well,
asked
they
to,
well they
whatever.
did kill both of the
No,
Humphreys.
no,
God rest
right,
their
right.
soul.
But but that's my biggest thing is like once the Humphreys got taken out, right? They were kind of these two outliers.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I don't think Raymond really wanted to kill his cousin, and I don't think his cousin really wanted to kill Raymond. So they're just there beating on each other, like family members that have gotten a fight. You really don't want to like severely injure or kill them, but you're wanting to beat the shit out of them. You know what I'm saying? Because you're mad about the situation and what's happening. You know, Magar not wanting to kill he didn't want to kill Baylor. And the cool part about that is when I went back and kind of looked at it, there's a moment during that fight where Duncan kind of looks over and after he slices the leg of Aryan, and he looks over and you hear Magor say, "My boy," and he takes off running.
Baker.
Well, yeah, yeah. So Magor, so he takes off running, right? Because he's like, "My boy," and he's trying to get to his son because he thinks his son's about to die. And both Baylor and the Baratheon, Lionel, is right there, and they're trying to hold him back. And that's when he
Mm-hmm.
like swings wildly with the mace
And,
and
yeah,
like
and hits
bashes
his brother.
Baylor. So
Yeah.
like that to me wasn't done in purpose. That was kind of in desperation because he kind of lost it for a second because he thought he was
Yeah,
losing
he
his son.
accidentally. Yeah, that's yeah. He accidentally kills his brother.
Mhm.
That's what happened. Yeah.
But like none of those people wanted to really kill each other, so it makes it like a pretty
Yeah,
interesting
Darren
dynamic.
literally before it, Darren literally says, "So during the fight, just punch me in the head, and then I'm gonna
Yep.
flop to the side and leave you alone.
He
That's
gonna
all you
flop.
gotta do."
He,
Then
he was gonna and he was gonna be LeBron James in the fight, right? He's gonna flop.
what does that got to do?
I saw another video of LeBron barely getting touched and he acted like he got killed.
All right, it's whatever, bro. That made I didn't understand why you said that, but now I get it. But yeah, man, like literally, like they were all roped in by this psychopathic kid who does, who
Yeah.
who wanted to hide in the fight. You know what I mean? And they're just like, why? Why can't you just do a trial by combat? You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is stupid. So that's probably what happened. But overall, I liked it. Let's get. I think we're at 30 minutes. I think we've talked about this. It was a very short episode, so it is what it is. Verdicts. And hype for next season. Matt, what about you? Matt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Overall, like seeing the whole show now, I'm gonna give this thing a fucking like D overall,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not excited for next season.
Okay. Justin.
I give this episode like 9, I think on average. Um, I was around the 8 or 9 for most of these. Maybe like the first one or two, I was like maybe at like 7.5. So like if you're giving like a final verdict thing, I'll go with like I'll say an 8. I'll say an 8. But like part of that's because it was a very simple story, but I thought it was a simple story told well. And if you tell a simple, even if the story is simple, and it's done and told well, I really enjoyed it. I thought we need more of that every now and then. Not everything do I need to watch needs to be like world ending or the world's about to be taken out or something like that. Sometimes you just need these like down to earth like stories to have like some fun with. And I really enjoyed it. I thought they did pretty well, especially after I did the kind of research and like got into the actual story itself, the novella. I thought they did really well adapting it. It's very faithful. Like if you ended up not liking this season, well, that's what the story from the book was. So then that means I guess you wouldn't have liked the book in that case, which is fine because, like I said, not everything's got to be like knock your socks off. These are kind of like these small kind of stories that become bigger once you know more about the lore. That's part of it too. If you don't know a lot of the lore of the Game of Thrones, I can see where maybe you don't like it as much or whatever because like me and you, Ferris, there for a pretty good decent amount of time was talking about like the family and how it's interacting and the Baelor and why like Baelor dying at this tourney was like such a big deal and all that. And we can get into like some of these deep dives about like the characters and now how the House Fossaways are split. And this is a house that stays split throughout pretty much all the history that we know, all the way up until the original Game of Thrones time period. So it's like interesting to see that stuff, but if you don't know some of that stuff, I can see where you're like missing a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So, but yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I final one be an 8, like I said, and I'm
Season
excited.
overall?
I'm excited for the next season to see like what they do for the next one, but it's a tempered excitement because I realize these are like short stories and they're not going to be. You're not going to see like two armies going at it, at least not yet. Like
This is that. I think number 2 is the longest one.
I think it's perfect for the what's happening though with the go back and forth with House of the Dragon, because I think this intertwined with that. So like the next season, we're only going to have to wait a year. It's not like a 2 or 3 year wait.
Yeah, it's coming out next year.
Yeah, so
they're filming season 2 right now.
Yeah, so House of the Dragon, for instance, comes out in June. And that's going to be a very grander scale thing with the dragons and the battles and all that stuff. You're going to get that feel, and then you're going to get this 6 or 7 months after that. You're going to get this another short story, better contained into like its own little spot in space and time, and just a simpler kind of tale. That's what it's going to be, and I think that's kind of cool. How you got one thing that's real big that they have to spend a lot of money on, and then you got these shorter stories that they're not going to have to spend a huge amount of money on.
All right, that's good. Me, I like the season overall. Solid 8. Big fan. I'm excited to see what they do in season 2 because I love Game of Thrones. Even the bad Game of Thrones, I found little moments of like, oh, that's awesome. Even so that's good. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm really happy. Shout out to Dexter, Soul Enzel or Enzel Soul. I think Soul Enzel. Shout out to you, young man, 11 years old. Get that Emmy. We'll be rooting for you. I know I will be. I don't know about if these two.
I think he's awesome and amazing. He's the best kid actor I've seen in a pretty good while.
So shout out to that. Thank you so much for joining us, Matt. Where can people find you?
Just here talking about some movies and TV shows.
That's perfect. Justin, where can people find you?
Basically the same thing.
All right, that's perfect, guys.
I am doing this in a straight up blizzard.
That's wonderful. Good for you. It's I believe like it's like 75 around here. So shout out to me. Thank you so much for joining us. If you like this video, you like this conversation, hit that like, hit that subscribe. We're over 1,000. We're trying to get to 1,100. So share the link with your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your wife, your lover, you name it. Share it around. We appreciate it. And without further ado, thank you guys so much for joining us. Hope you had a wonderful time, and we'll see y'all next week or next time for probably House of Dragon.
Yeah, that one definitely I'll be watching.